Alright, hello everybody, my name is Brady COF, and I just like to say congratulations, we're about halfway through with our first speech of the quarter, which means half of you are happy that you're done, and the other half, not so much, which leads me to my point. The abundance of modern technology is creating an antisocial society. I'm defining modern technology as gaming system and smartphones. So here's some info from Pew Research Center, a report on social isolation and new technology. In-person contact remains the dominant means of communication with core members. On average, there is face-to-face contact with each tie on 210 out of 365 days a year. Mobile phone use has replaced the landline telephone as the most frequently mediated form of communication with 195 days per year. Text messaging has tied landlines as the third most popular means of contact between core ties, with 125 days per year. Cards and letters are the least frequent means of social contact, with 8 letters or cards per year. When available, other information communication technologies supplement these dominant modes of communication. Emails with 72 days per year, instant messaging with 55 days per year, and social networking with 39 days per year. All of these are in 2009. Think of how much that has changed in the last 7 years. How often do you check your phone a day? According to Lisa Edisico from Time.com in her article, Americans check their phone 8 billion times a day. We check it every 30 minutes roughly. In her own words, although 46 checks per day is the average, that number varies depending on the age group of the user. On to my supporting claims. Gaming systems are keeping us secluded indoors away from others. Playing video games take away from social activities that build social societies. Video games have grown to include more playable settings to increase the amount of time that can be spent playing them. Playing video games for longer times have grown to take up more time than most other activities. The TED Talk conversationist Jane McGonigal brings up a point in our conversation titled, "We spend 3 billion hours a week as a planet playing video games. Is it worth it? How can it be more worth it?" That the average person racks up 10,000 hours playing video games by the time they're 21, or 24 hours less than the time you spend in middle and high school if you have perfect attendance. Now on to smartphones. Smartphones are grabbing our attention more than what is right in front of us. The ownership of smartphones is quickly expanding, and soon everyone in the population above a certain age will own a smartphone. New versions of smartphones are coming out twice a year, and people are still standing in line to get the new ones, even though they just bought one 6 months ago. In another report from Pew Research Center called U.S. Smartphone Use in 2015 by Aaron Smith, nearly 2/3 of Americans are now smartphone owners. And for many of these devices are a key entry into the online world. 64% of adults are now smartphone owners of some kind, up from 35% in the spring of 2011. Smartphone ownership is especially high in young Americans and those with relatively high income and education levels. And now with the increase in time being spent away from social settings, the marriage rate has dropped and the divorce rate is dropping at the same rate. So even though less are getting married, even less are lasting marriages. According to the CDC, marriage rates are decreasing, and here are some numbers from 2000 to 2014. The rate per 1,000 total population in 2000 was 8.2. In 2003, it was 7.7. In 2009, it was 6.8. In 2014, it was 6.9. Also from the CDC, divorce rates have shown a decline. The rate per 1,000 total population in 2000 was 4.0. In 2002, it was 3.9. And by 2014, it was 3.2. Thus, our ever-growing abundance of smartphones and gaming systems are leading us into an antisocial society that help make situations just like this, as in speaking in front of class, almost an impossible task. Thank you.
All right, well, you identified the proposition pretty clearly, although it gets a little confusing because the definitions that you immediately impose on it. There's not really a setup of what the structure is going to be. I know what the general topic area is, and I know what the subjects are that you're going to be talking about, but I don't know what the inferences are that you're making about any of those points. I found it especially problematic because I got a lot of data that's presented in the speech about usership, but not a lot of data about the negative consequences of that or any harm that occurs. The only data that really shows up that's directly related to that particular point comes right at the end, and it feels like it's right out of left field. All of a sudden, we're getting data about marriage and divorce rates, and it seems a little bit contradictory. So if marriage rates are down and divorce rates are down, I mean, let's face it, if divorce rates are down, why is that a bad thing? I'm not exactly sure that you can trace that to any of the communication technology, but even if you could, that seems to be counterintuitive to the point that you're making. So that was really quite confusing. There's, like I said, a lot of data about how ubiquitous the technology is, how widespread it is, how much people use it. The stuff, though, that says that there's a negative consequence that people can't communicate effectively, that's the thing that's missing here. So you've got kind of a causality argument, and what you're missing is the effect argument. So we got the cause, and you've listed it. Where's the effect? And I don't think that gets developed very well. Like I said, the structure is problematic. It just feels like you start diving in with a variety of data on how ubiquitous the technology is, and I don't know what the plan is. How am I supposed to build this? What inferences am I going to draw? At the end, you give us a little bit of an explanation about how you see this information fitting together, but that should have been clear more at the beginning of the speech. You did a good job sourcing the factual data that you had in the presentation, I thought, for the most part. Like I said, but that fast left turn when it came to the marriage and divorce rates, that seemed to be coming out of nowhere, and that was the only information that you had that suggested that there's a negative consequence here to our use of this technology, and that feels problematic, like there's something that's missing. All right, thank you.